All right, y'all, let's go, let's go, let's go. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday, and welcome to 5 Steps to Reconnect to Your Body and Sensuality. Pro Noir here, and I am going to take you through this powerful training today. My intention was for you to follow along with my slides, but we're having some tech issues, but that will not stop me. So, all you need to do is grab some paper, grab your journal and a pen, and take notes, or just listen to me and then come back to this replay. All right. If you are joining me live and you are an OG, hit OG in the chat. Or if you're new, just let me know. Also, feel free to let me know when you watch this replay. All right. So, the first thing I want to do is open up the space. Let's call in our powerful ancestors. Let's call in those sensual ancestors. Let's call in those ancestors who are guiding us, that spiritual team, so that we can take on this information and take our healing seriously. Okay. The theme for the day is healing that doesn't hurt. Shadow work is very important and it's non negotiable. But at some point, part of our healing journey is learning how to heal without revisiting trauma, how to actually live out loud. All right, y'all. So let's get on into it. If you can, take a moment to just pause while we open up the space. We're going to open up the space with breath and clapping to call the people in here. Okay. So taking a moment. Shh, 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 shh. Let's breathe in here, holding, and a gentle moan out. And sometimes when we want to reconnect to our body, we want to reclaim the space, we want to stop feeling numb or disconnected or even scattered or stressed, just kind of holding the breath and breathing out slowly gives your body, gives your inner child, your nervous system, all of that a moment to say, oh, okay, I'm in control and she has me. All right. Let's talk about who this training is for so you can decide whether or not you want to stay. This is for you if you feel disconnected from your body, you're feeling numb, you're feeling overstimulated. Chances are high that might be because of social media, you know, watching the news a little too much. Maybe you are going to bed to dun 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 bum bum bam. Okay, Law and Order, which I used to do. Those kind of things actually help keep us numb. This is for you if you've been living inside of your head. All right. You kind of overthinking, which also makes you disconnected from your body. And you've been giving more than you have been receiving at work, at home, in your romantic connections. Or if you're just, actually feeling good and feeling sensual and you want some rituals to help you sort of, okay? So let's talk about what I'm going to teach you today. By the end of this training, what I'm hopeful of is that you'll feel that you have a deeper understanding to why the disconnection is happening for you. I want to teach you my 9 step healing through seduction framework. I want you to identify where you are thriving and where you may need support. And then I'm going to walk you through 5 rituals that you can do throughout the day. You can do these rituals in the bathroom. You can do these rituals on your lunch break. You can do these rituals before you tap in. Okay. Whatever that means to you, use it how it applies. All right. And that's what I want to do. So let's get right on into it. Let's talk about the real problem that you might actually be facing right now. Chances are high it's not a confidence issue. This is not about discipline for you. This is not about a mindset issue. This is not about you being someone who doesn't know how to live out loud, but it just might be that you need a blueprint. We have a blueprint for everything else. So today you're going to leave with the sensual blueprint, okay? Now let me briefly tell you who I am in case you are not an OG. My name is Pearl Noir. Okay, I have 20 plus years of experience. I am a former burlesque queen. I am a keynote speaker. I am the founder and CEO of Healing Through Seduction. And I went from being trafficked at 19 to teaching thousands of women how to reclaim their body and their sensuality. All of this started for me in 2012 in Tokyo, of all places. I got a chance to share my wisdom in Tokyo at a beautiful healing center. And I taught Healing Through Seduction for the first time. And I've also, again, I've taught women, I've taught femmes, I've taught non binary people, I've taught trans men these very rituals that I'm going to teach you today. And these are just some of the reasons why I do this. I don't just teach this, I live this. And I know from my own experience as a survivor how important focusing on your healing journey is. It's kind of non negotiable, if you ask me. So, here are the 9 ways you can focus on your healing. Here's my 9-step framework. I'm not going to break everything down today, but I just want to kind of give you an overview. All right. So the first thing you want to think about is redefining intimacy. Okay. Now you are in what we like to call a code red. Molly, you in danger, girl. If intimacy only exists through the lens and the gaze of others. And that's not your fault. That is not to be judged. All of us have been taught to do that. You in the red, Molly, you in danger, girl. If you feel disconnected or empty when you're alone, when you have a hard time just sitting with your own powerful thoughts, when you have a hard time believing positive, romantic, nourishing thoughts. Now, you might be in the yellow. Okay, and yellow's, yellow's pretty good. Yellow's like, we're going to do the electric slide up in here now. If you have some of those moments and you're in total green, if you do this consistently, your green is, Oprah's giving you a car, okay? And that's what we want this to be. The second part to this framework is finding your inner sanctuary. You in the red, Molly. If you don't have a sense of safety in your own physical body, in your own mind, or in your own home, right? This is when rest feels uncomfortable to you. This is when stillness feels safe, right? That might look like you, when you're at home, you have to constantly scroll social media. Even though you know you're doom scrolling, even though you know you haven't trained the algorithm to only show you positive stories, right? So when I go on Instagram or YouTube, it is very rare for the algorithm to show me anything other than angel numbers. The Good News Network, somebody just did this overseas. Some little boy just started a corn dog stand. I don't care what it is, right? The algorithm, I have trained my mind and the physical algorithm to only show me things that are going to support me and uplift me, right? This is when you kind of have to stay busy because you don't know how to be still because that feels uncomfortable to you. You're in the yellow if you have that safety sometimes, that you know how to pause and nurture and self-soothe when stress does come, right? You know how to motivate yourself. And you're in the green if you know how to self-soothe and you know how to regulate. Part 3 of this is you need to heal through storytelling every single day. What stories are you telling? You want to heal through teasing yourself. You want to heal through what I call, the power of burlesque. And burlesque, not in the sense of going on stage and disrobing, but burlesque is about finding a moment where you have pure autonomy over your body. So you are in the red, Molly, if you feel ashamed of being seen. If there's always a story in your mind that has been taught to you and you haven't learned how to soothe that fear, you haven't learned how to seduce the fear, is what I like to say, right? Or when you are expressing yourself outside of service for others, it feels performative to you. Now, you're in the yellow if creativity feels good for you. You're okay being open to yourself. You're okay being seen. And green is when you're like, I am living out loud and I don't give a damn. I'm going to do me and I'm going to inspire those I'm meant to inspire by doing me. Okay? The fourth thing we want to think about is how often are you honoring your boundaries? Now, this one is one of the most powerful ones to me. And sometimes I feel can be a little tricky for people, right? Because a lot of times when people think of honoring their boundaries, they automatically go to, oh yeah, no one's going to play me. I'm in a relationship, nobody's going to do me wrong. And I always like to remind women, especially, no, especially when you're working with me, I don't care about what you're doing with other people. I'm asking you, do you honor your boundaries with yourself? And boundary setting isn't about shifting the behavior of those around you. It's about taking ownership and shifting your own behavior every single time you elevate, every time you timeline jump, every time there's a quantum leap, every time there's a new version of you, either already cultivating or you are manifesting her. There has to be new boundaries. Your behavior has to change or you're not elevating. So, Molly, you are in the red if when you say yes, you really mean no. That can be something like doing laundry on the weekend when you really would rather rest. It could be taking that phone call from your best friend to hear her talk about Tron for the 50th time, and homegirl is not leaving Tron today. She might leave Tron one day, but she's not leaving Tron today. So do you really have to take that call? To take the call, to let her take up all of your energy. She leaves the call feeling amazing because you showed up for her, but you abandoned your own power. And now you're resentful and you feel invisible, and your body is trying to tell you over and over again, I don't want to do this right now. You're in the yellow if you know what your boundaries are, right? And of course, you're in the green if you have no problem telling it like it is, right? Let me know in the chat how these are resonating for you so far. If you feel comfortable, and hold please while I drink some water. Another way to honor boundaries is to be okay with making people wait, right? People will wait for you. The next part of this framework is to practice self consent. This is similar to honoring the boundaries, but making it a practice to where you actually ask out loud, body, do I have your consent to do X, Y, and Z? So, Molly, you're in the red if you constantly override your body and the signals, and that's by design. Again, we have been taught to be numb. And when you are numb, you're easier to control because you don't trust your own compass. You don't trust the belly, when it's turning, when there are twists and turns and saying, I don't really want to do this, right? Or when your body starts shaking, or when you start to feel lightheaded, your intuition, if you will, is asking for respect. And so you can start practicing self consent by asking your body to show you signs. A powerful way to do this is to start saying, yes, I'm ready to eat. Yes, I'm ready to drink water. Yes, I'm ready to have that libation out loud. And then once you get full or you've had enough, physically say, so your body can hear you, you can start having this intimate dialogue and connection with your body outside of a tap, tap, tap with someone else or yourself. I've had enough. No, I don't want that. Even when you're by yourself, get in the habit of looking crazy. Start talking to yourself more often, okay? That is one way that I stay grounded. I talk to myself out loud all day, every day. All right, let's go to number 6, liberate yourself through sensual movement. In my personal opinion, I don't think it's a coincidence that when we look back through history, and any time people decided to go to these indigenous places, right? One of the first things they did was deem movement as evil. They took away community. People were banned from playing drums. having drum circles, right? They didn't want the communication. They didn't want the community. They didn't want that freedom in movement because they couldn't control either their urges or their jealousy, right? To see, because sometimes people are jealous watching other people be liberated, right? And so there's power in you allowing yourself to move your body freely outside of a romantic scenario, outside of a romantic relationship. How are you moving your body every day for you? And especially if you work from home, if you have a job where you are constantly on your feet, if you have a job where you are serving others, if you have a job where you're stagnant, where you're always sitting, baby, you're feeling numb because there isn't any movement. So you're in the red, Molly. You feel uncomfortable, right? You don't feel comfortable just dancing out loud for yourself. You don't feel comfortable cutting it up on the dance floor. And that might be a generational thing too, because back in my day, I just love that I'm of the age so I could say that now. I've been waiting to be here my whole life. Back in my day, when you went to the club, you actually danced. Now these babies are just on the phone. We want to get to a point to where we feel comfortable moving outside of choreography, outside of, the trend, right? So I want to encourage you to start moving. You're in the yellow if you enjoy moving a little bit, and you're in the green if you're like me and you're dancing every single day. Okay, part 7, activate your chakras every single day. This is one that feels so good to me. And I remember the first time one of my girlfriends that I used to hang out with all the time, she introduced me to the importance of connecting to your chakras. And I was like, oh, I've always heard about it, but what does it actually do? And it's like, oh no, there's like energy is real, y'all. And we all know that. You can go into a room and if everyone's in a bad mood, that's going to affect your energy. If everyone's happy, feeling good, okay, even if you go into a room and they've done studies, if you're in the room or someone's in the room next to you feeling sensual, you'll feel that can translate to the next room. It transmutes, the energy transmutes. It's so powerful. And so for me, activating your chakras daily is about giving yourself the opportunity to feel balanced, to be in control of your own energy, calling your energy and your power back, and having this godlike experience outside of the bedroom. For so many people, the only time they are uninhibited, the only time they call on the higher power is when they are having a big O, which is so powerful and important, but that shouldn't be the only time you are activated. That shouldn't be the only time you are connected to the source, okay? Let's get into 8, one of my favorites. Stop dressing down. Fall back down is a trap. When you dress up, it changes your energy. It changes how you walk into a room. And honor yourself by remembering you don't have to limit glamour to outside validation. So, Molly, you in danger, girl, if you hide, if the only time you decide to dress up or buy something nice for yourself, you know, iron those sheets if they're wrinkled and you want to. Don't worry about looking extra. Okay. Eat on that fine china every day. Why are we waiting to break out the china once a year? And this is something that I'm very passionate about. I grew up with my grandma in the South, my granny. And we were kind of taught that you dress up for church, you spend money on church activities, but that's it. You break out the china when the church people are coming. And every other day it's collecting dust. And that just never made sense to me. So you are in the yellow if you dress up on occasion, but you kind of still feel guilty or judged. And you're in the green if you're like me and you like, I'm going to adorn myself regardless. And let me tell you, as an entrepreneur, the money ebbs and flows. So I could have a $20,000, $30,000 month back to back to back. and then have 6 months of making $3, right? You just never know as an entrepreneur. But I'll tell you one thing, whether I'm eating caviar or ramen noodles, it's going on fine china. That is one way that I honor the glamour of it all. And last but not least, you want to start honoring your ancestors. You are in the red, Molly, if you believe the only reason you are here is to break generational curses. You're in the red if you believe your ancestors only passed down evil energy to you. How can you heal and be empowered if you think the people who came before you are evil? That's a setup, in my opinion. Okay. This is how we carry shame. This is how we focus on scarcity. And this is how we find ourselves only focusing on trauma when we are more than that. And so you're in the yellow if you're curious, right? And you find that connection matters to you, right? You're in the green if you feel the same way, right? So most people are going to be in the red or the yellow, and that's totally fine. Let's dive deeper into 5, and then I'm going to give you 5 rituals or steps that you can start incorporating into your everyday life. So, redefining intimacy. Seduction is about trust. Seduction has a bad name. I believe I was born to tell the truth about seduction. Seduction is not about manipulation. It's not about harm. It can be, but so can everything else, right? I anything can be harmful if you want it to. In order to start redefining intimacy, in order to start seducing yourself, one of the first rituals I created for myself to heal from self hatred. I hated being a dark skinned Black woman. I love being Black, but because of how I was teased by teachers, my peers, and family, I hated being a dark skinned girl so much to the point to where I was saving up money to have plastic surgery in my mind. Bless my heart. I was like, I'm going to have plastic surgery to become a biracial woman. Like, that's too much for a young girl. So when I became an empowered woman, I had to look back and say, okay, now what can I heal? And I said, let me redefine intimacy to heal how I feel about my skin. So I created a journal that was just for the young version of me who hated herself. And I would write her these beautiful love notes and tell her how precious her skin was, how powerful she was. So I want to encourage you to create this journal and have fun. Tap back into you, not even just your younger self, the version of you that wants to create right now. Decorate that thing. Buy some hot glue guns, some flowers, some rhinestones, some glitter. Like, make your journal your living and breathing vision board, right? Put messages in there. Or you can leave little love notes around the house. And I want to say to any mother who's watching this, whether you are, the powerful biological mothers out there, or you're a mother like me, you were not born to actually have children, but you were born to inspire other people's kids, right? You were born to adopt grown-ups, okay? Whatever the case is, if you have someone in your life that's young or old that can be influenced, do this ritual with them, right? Especially in the house. This can be a family affair. You all can redefine intimacy together. The next one, find your inner sanctuary. So I want to invite you to build an altar around your house that represents healing. That's not about revisiting painful memories from the past or trauma bonding with yourself, your own mind, or other people, right? This is an altar for the version of you that you're activating right now. Or it's an altar for your past version, a past version of yourself. So in my old home, I had this powerful, beautiful altar where I had love notes. I had pictures of Josephine Baker on there. I had my passport that was old, but I put the passport on there because I grew up in the hood. I grew up in the ghetto. There was no traveling growing up. But as a woman, I had the luxury and pleasure of having every page stamped on that passport because I was booked to travel all over the world to do the damn thing. I also still have a space in my new home with my dark skinned baby doll that one of my friends gave me. And this space is dedicated to my dark skinned inner child, and she gets love whenever I feel she needs it. Okay. So let's create a space in your home that is just about healing, but healing without hurting yourself. Okay. Number three, honor your boundaries. How can you start honoring your boundaries with your thoughts? Right? Again, we understand in the relationship, I'm not doing X, Y, and Z. Great, homie. Great. But what about the relationship with yourself? Start with your mind. And this is something I'm doing right now because I'm elevating to, I'm on a new level. Okay. So I am elevating and I have to shift my mind as I go from the burlesque queen who's traveling full time to the keynote speaker who's traveling full time to the coach who's traveling full time to the person coming on YouTube now versus the person who was going on Instagram, because these are two different worlds, right? And so I'm shifting my mind. I'm honoring my boundaries for this by romancing my thoughts. Can you control your thoughts about yourself? Can you control your limiting beliefs? Can you seduce the fear when it comes up? The next one is to practice self consent, right? This is where you honor your autonomy. There are moments we don't have it. I always like to use the pandemic as an example. Now, all of us have lived a long, long time, and we have paid them taxes for years. However, when the world was completely shut down, they had the essential workers who had no choice, no autonomy. All of us, regardless of what was happening as a full worldwide shutdown was going, landlords were still like, run me my money. Light bill company, I don't give a damn, run us our money, give us our things. So we did not have autonomy, even though we were all fighting for our lives. We were really fighting for our lives, y'all. And we just had to go to work. I mean, come on, y'all. The craziness. So these are moments where we don't have autonomy. How many of you have gone into work sick because you were afraid you were going to lose your job? That's a moment where you feel that you don't have autonomy. So you have to activate your body every day. So there's constant movement, there's constant flow. So start practicing moments of self-consent. Even if, again, you say, I give myself consent to have this chocolate. I give myself consent to say no, to say yes. I give myself consent to slow down when I put this lotion on after I get out of the shower. And last but not least, y'all, liberate yourself through sensual movement. There is so much harm happening with the stagnant energy that you are experiencing on the daily. Because again, most of us, the most movement we're getting is this. And when you're doing this, it's the algorithm is showing you more harm to where you think the world is on fire. I hear people say that a lot, and I understand where that comes from. But the truth of the matter is, usually what that means is, oh, there's a news story that I feel passionate about that I'm hearing now. And I'm like, the world is on fire. I don't have any hope. Unfortunately, the world is consistently on fire forever. It's for centuries. It's been this way. There is always a rainbow. Our tears can always become rainbows. So as much harm is being done in the world, there's a lot of harm. But what isn't being shown is the good. There's always good happening in the world. Evil just has a better press agent. And so when the only thing you are doing is taking in harmful, traumatic images day after day after day, then you watch shows that mirror that harm. So all you are doing all day is you're working, you're upset, and then you're looking at harmful images until you go to bed. Some of you are going to sleep with harmful images playing in the background. So yes, you're numb. Yes, you're disconnected. And yes, you feel like there isn't hope. there's always, unfortunately, something evil happening, but there's always people like me who are making the conscious decision to focus on healing, to spread light, right? And so then it's up to us to say, how will I liberate myself today so that I can liberate others and be the change that I want to see? We ain't gonna just talk about it, we're gonna be about it. And one way you can do that is to liberate yourself. You can practice self consent. You can honor your boundaries. You can find your inner sanctuary and you can redefine intimacy. Because when you are locked into your healing journey, when you allow yourself to be liberated, you show up differently at work. You show up differently in your business. You show up differently as a parent. You show up differently as a lover. This is step one to healing the world. Be the change that you want to see. And if you want more guidance, I'm going to put a little link up in the description. I want you to download the Healing Made Simple guide. Okay, this is a beautiful guide so you can have healing at your fingertips, y'all. We want to get into the habit of healing every single day without judging it. I don't know why healing has a bad rap on purpose. Like, healing to me is this entity that there's like been rumors about her for years, and everyone's like, fuck that girl, I don't want to heal. I'm not going back to my trauma. But healing is powerful, and we heal every day anyway, every time we eat or drink. So I don't know why we would tell ourselves that our body needs food and water every day, but our mind doesn't need to be nurtured, y'all. Bless our hearts. So that is what I have for you today. Let me know in the comments. Hopefully this was helpful. I'm going to definitely share the replay so that you can watch this again. And a lot of these rituals and principles can be taught like, share this with your home girl. Share this with your children if you have them, please. Let's start teaching folks how to heal early. Let's change the world through our children. Okay. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Again, don't forget to download the Healing Made Simple guide. This guide is important for you. This is about having those healing rituals at your fingertips. With this guide, you can download it on your phone. You can print it out. I'm old school. I like to print things out. I like to feel stuff, right? And then with these rituals, these are rituals that can be done, again, while you're working. These can be done to activate your body before intimacy. These rituals can be done when you're at home and you need to woosah, take time for yourself. And again, if you are a mother, these are also rituals that you can teach your children. Okay, what's included? You've got these quick daily rituals. I included water rituals. I included rituals you can do with Mother Nature. I included ways for you to honor your boundaries. Okay, I also included some journal prompts and some tips to integrate all this into your busy life. All right. Okay, let me go to the chat and see if there are any questions. I don't see anything just yet. Okay, thank y'all so much. Thank you. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to share this replay, and please help me spread light in the world by sharing this if it was inspiring and helpful to you. All right, y'all, until next time, pow, 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 pow.